Welcome to another episode of the Read Pile. Today I'm talking about Sakamoto Days, Volumes 7 and 8. I've done already videos for Volumes 1 through 6. Now, Volume 6 ends with a confrontation happening on Tokyo Tower between, well, let me talk about this real quick. So, this is the relevant cast, right? So we've got Mr. Sakamoto here. Shin is with him on the tower. Lu is not in this volume very much. Volume 7 or 8, honestly. He is facing off against X. Mr. Sakamoto is. Gaku is working for him. And then we've got these two. The old man is prominent in the beginning. So he is pretty awesome. He always looks like this. And if eyes closed, he's got this sword. The sword can apparently slice through anything. He's very fast. And the sword has incredible reach as well. But this summarizes what has been going on. There is Japanese Association of Assassins. Assassins are just an allowed profession, and you can see here he's a former assassin. Where'd it go? Former legendary assassin, and then former triad. So there is an attack on the Japanese Association of Assassins, and afterward there's going to be some repercussions to that. But it starts off with a continuation of that confrontation. There's a lot of speed lines in these next two volumes. Here's where the old guy shows up, and I just want to show this scene, right? So he's on the other side of this door. He shoves his sword through, and the sword can cut, as near as I can tell, everything. I was going to say everything it touches, but it even cuts things it doesn't touch, which is, I don't know. It's super cool. So he opens a door, not by using the handle, but by pushing the handle down using his sword from the other side. For some reason, the sword doesn't cut through the handle. Whatever. It's super cool. And I love that scene. So anyway, the old guy with the sword joins the fight. He deflects a couple of bullets that are shot at him with the sword. He then cuts a guy's arm off, but it's fine. I'll get reattached later. And he's already sliced Tokyo Tower once. He does it again here, and that sort of breaks up the fight. Nobody wants to be anywhere near him when he's swinging that sword around. That's what happens. And then afterward, everyone disperses. Here, the ramifications. So there's a bunch of dead. Surprisingly, only 3 injured, but I think it's because they murdered just so many people. There's then some recovery in the hospital. A couple of former co-workers come to visit Sakamoto. There's an exchange of information. But I think the big takeaway from that scene is Shin wants to get stronger. He wants to be more of a help to Sakamoto instead of being a liability. And that's going to play into the rest of this volume and into the next. Here's that guy getting his arm reattached. Works fine. He's fine. So in the beginning I said that Sakamoto was a former assassin. Now he runs this shop. He has those 2 clerks working for him. So both the former assassin and former triad are working for him in this shop. And his wife here also has a daughter, if I haven't mentioned that. But because of how many people have died from the Japanese Association of Assassins, they are recruiting, and the other side is recruiting as well. So X's team both are recruiting. There's this flyer, there's a website, and Shin and Mr. Sakamoto have decided that they're going to sign up and get on the inside. So of course he is in disguise as a student. There's, I think the rest of the book then takes place on this planet. It's pretty amazing. There's some fights. There are brand new characters that are introduced. There's an elimination match test. It's an elimination test. So they drop down a bunch of weapons onto the plane. Everyone's fighting over these branded bullets. You only advance if you get to the next stage with one of those bullets. It's amazing. It's awesome. And this guy shows up, who's all about filming everything. He's got a slate there, he's got the camera. And he's trying to capture everything on video. He's trying to make a movie. And he says that things thus far had been pretty boring. He decides he's going to make them more exciting. He shoots one of the pilots. The plane starts falling out of the... Killer lines. I didn't notice that the first time. Plane starts falling out of the sky. Everyone's thrown around. And then he thinks that it's boring. And then it's still not exciting enough. So he then shoots a hole in the side of the plane. And everyone is now falling out of the sky. Surprisingly, some of them make it to the ground. And Volume 8 is where we then start. It's the next stage of the test, which is weird. Because there were testing admins on the plane, and the plane wasn't supposed to be crashed. It wasn't supposed to be blown up. But they're fine with just advancing to the next stage, and more people show up. Even though they're somewhere that they're not supposed to be. It's a little weird. Whatever. It's fine. So again, we get a cast of characters. You can see some of the same ones. Here is the wife and daughter as well. And then we have the Order, which is part of the JAA. And we have X's organization, who was killing them. So the Order used to be Mr. Sakamoto's group. He was part of them. And then here we have some of the new characters that joined in the plane scene from Volume 7. Transfer test applicants. So here's what I was just talking about. He's one of the test administrators. People are on the ground. This boat approaches, and coming off of the boat are new cast members, because a bunch of them died falling out of the sky or on the plane. And she has a keychain of Mr. Sakamoto in his younger days. So from there, there's more fights break out. There's plenty of drama, confrontation, but it comes to basically a game of flag football, almost. These are called tails, and at the end of the next segment, you need to have a tail, or I don't remember exactly, an opponent's tail. In order to advance, you need to have... If you don't have yours, you're considered dead. It's sort of like paintball rules. And you need to have an opponent's tail, because everyone's broken up into teams. So Shin and Mr. Sakamoto are on opposing teams. They wind up splitting up, and then a bunch of other stuff happens. There are plenty of fights. A ton of speed lines, as I was saying. Speed lines. But the root of it follows Shin's team, and everything that's going on with him. His, again, struggles to get stronger. We find out more about her. There's a somewhat lengthy fight between Keychain Girl and Shin. She doesn't like that Shin also knows Mr. Sakamoto and disagrees with some of her thoughts about him. She takes it poorly. But there's an extended fight, it's pretty awesome, between those two. And then this guy shows up. This guy with glasses. And this... If you've been with me so far, then this is where I'm going to say it gets weird. Because this guy, who had his arm cut off in the previous volume before getting it reattached, he's now got these glasses on his head, he's got these wires on his hand, and he is remote controlling this guy, who's out in the field. And this guy is in a warehouse with some of the higher-ups of his organization. But what's weird, so here's the guy with the glasses, out with the test takers. What's weird is there's a conversation with this guy and another character about how they found this guy, and he says, we just put an ad online. But somehow being controlled makes him fast and strong. Like, it's not, they're not using this guy's natural physical abilities. They are remotely being enhanced, which is very strange. He refers to it as VR at some point. Yeah, he says, there's a bit of lag, I'm just going to pretend I'm playing a video game. It's weird. But then the rest of the book is basically a fight with that guy that does not get resolved. So I'm now looking forward to Volume 9, which is going to be a couple of months away. But It's heavy on fighting, these two volumes. The first few volumes were just kind of random adventures. Characters would show up. They were shorter stories. Now we're getting into longer story arcs, and it's still incredible. It's still very funny. I think I had a problem with volume 5 or 6 that some of the humor was out and it was focused more on fighting. It's still heavily focused on fighting, but the humor is definitely back. It's awesome. I've recommended this series multiple times. I still do, but it's incredible. I read these, I don't remember if I said, but this just came in the mail yesterday. I've already read both, and now I'm talking about it. Hopefully this video gets up pretty soon, but I'm very excited about this. I love the series overall, and I recommend it, obviously. It's great. I love it. As I said, I am now eagerly awaiting Volume 9.